Happened. We just found out that Charlie Kirk got shot.
Look, I haven't seen anything that's confirmed.
Whoa.
Murder for having a different opinion from somebody else.
Joe Rogan just dropped a bombshell. He claims Charlie Kirk's widow might be involved in his death. It starts with one sentence that sent the internet spiraling. Joe Rogan, one of the most influential voices in modern media, just said he doesn't buy the official story surrounding Charlie Kirk's death. And from that moment, everything changed. Because when Joe Rogan publicly says something doesn't add up, millions start paying attention. And this time, he's pointing his finger towards something darker, something involving political power, strange coincidences, and whispers about Charlie Kirk's own inner circle. Let's rewind. September 10th, 2025. Utah Valley University. Charlie Kirk, conservative commentator and founder of Turning Point USA, is taking questions during a student Q&A session. The crowd is loud, energized, and then chaos. A gunshot rings out. Panic erupts. Within seconds, Kirk collapses on stage. He's rushed to the hospital, but doesn't make it. Within 33 hours, authorities announce they've captured the suspect, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, and say the case is closed. But to many, that felt too easy. At first, the headlines were straightforward: a lone gunman, a tragic political assassination. But then Joe Rogan started talking, and suddenly, the story wasn't so simple anymore. On his podcast, Rogan admitted he didn't buy the official version of events. He said there was a lot of weird stuff going on, and that strange details kept surfacing that no one could explain. He wasn't the only one who felt that way, but when Rogan talks, the world listens. He highlighted one bizarre moment that's now become central to the controversy: a decoy suspect. According to witnesses, in the middle of the chaos, an older man suddenly stood up, screamed, "I did it!" and in one of the strangest moments imaginable, reportedly exposed himself in front of the crowd. At first, police thought they had their shooter, until they realized this man had no weapon. What's more disturbing is his background. The same man had reportedly appeared at multiple other high-profile incidents, from the Boston Marathon bombing to fake 911 calls. Then, right after Kirk's assassination, he was arrested on charges unrelated to the case and instantly vanished from the conversation. Joe Rogan's take: convenient. Too convenient. Now you can't interview him, he said. He's in jail. He's off the table. And that's when things started to snowball. Online communities began digging into every detail, from the weapon used to the people around Kirk. According to reports, the gun that killed Charlie was supposedly a restored World War I rifle. Rogan questioned that immediately. Why would a 22-year-old use a century-old weapon that doesn't even have a serial code? He asked. And how did he rebuild it so perfectly that it could pull off a clean, precise shot? His frustration was clear. The official explanation didn't make sense. "You'd need serious skill to even reassemble that thing," Rogan said. "You expect me to believe this kid pulled that off, hit his target cleanly, and fled unnoticed?" It wasn't long before others joined the speculation. Most notably, Candace Owens. Owens claimed she had received information that Tyler Robinson might have been framed. "Everything they've told us is a lie," she declared on her own show. She pointed to alleged inconsistencies, from text messages that didn't sound like Robinson to bullet markings that didn't match. She even said Robinson's father didn't believe his son did it, and that the family was tipped off about his name being released before Tyler even knew what was happening. And that's when things got really wild, because Owens dropped another bombshell. She claimed that just 1 week before his death, Charlie Kirk had ordered a massive internal audit at Turning Point USA. The audit reportedly targeted an obscure department within the organization, one responsible for tracking where millions of dollars were going. Some online users claimed that this audit threatened powerful donors and political figures tied to TPUSA's financial machine. And if those rumors were true, it meant Charlie Kirk could have been digging into something much bigger than anyone realized. Then, the whispers started about Charlie's wife. After Kirk's death, his widow stepped in as CEO of Turning Point USA, a move that many called suspiciously fast. Some commentators claimed she had long-standing connections to key political figures involved with TPUSA. Others pointed to old reports suggesting Charlie had once expressed concerns about internal power struggles and influence inside the organization. And just like that, the internet was flooded with theories, some suggesting her rise to leadership was part of a plan, others calling it pure coincidence. Either way, her name was now at the center of the storm. Then another detail surfaced, a memo allegedly signed by Charlie Kirk on September 2nd, just days before his death. In it, Kirk reportedly appointed a new COO to oversee something called the DOGE initiative, a sweeping audit meant to expose inefficiencies, reshape company culture, and trace financial irregularities within TPUSA. The memo never went public, but leaked screenshots circulated online, adding even more fuel to the fire. Conspiracy theorists called it a smoking gun. Was Charlie Kirk taken out before he could expose something? Or was the entire thing a chain of coincidences blown out of proportion by the internet? Adding even more pressure to the theory, Candace Owens went further, alleging that a powerful hedge fund billionaire had clashed with Kirk just weeks before the shooting. According to Owens, this figure had allegedly threatened to pull financial support from TPUSA unless Kirk shifted his political messaging. The billionaire, of course, denied everything, calling her statements absurd and defamatory. But to the internet, denial only made it more suspicious. And through it all, Joe Rogan kept returning to the same theme. Nothing about this story adds up. He revisited the decoy suspect's behavior. What are the odds, he asked, that one guy shows up at 9/11, the Boston bombing, and this shooting? How does that even happen? The man's later arrest for child exploitation charges only deepened Rogan's doubts. To Rogan and his audience, it looked like someone was silencing key witnesses or erasing potential leads. Meanwhile, online investigators picked apart surveillance footage and photos from the Utah Valley event. According to user analysis, the alleged shooter would have needed access to the roof of a highly secure building. Yet, police confirmed there were no security cameras capturing the moment of the shot. How could a gunman reach a rooftop during a live broadcast event, undetected? Why was there no record of his entry or exit? Even stranger, the few videos that did emerge show conflicting angles, some appearing to depict movement inconsistent with the lone shooter story. To some, that meant one thing: the chaos might have been orchestrated. As rumors grew, Charlie Kirk's widow became a lightning rod for speculation. Some online sleuths accused her of playing a role in the internal audit's timing, while others claimed her public grieving seemed performative. Viral clips of her at Kirk's funeral, crying on stage, were dissected frame by frame, with some users insisting her emotions didn't look genuine. Of course, there's zero evidence of wrongdoing, but the internet doesn't wait for proof. It builds its own narratives, and that's exactly what Joe Rogan warned about. "We live in a time," he said, "where the truth is buried under 10 different stories. Everyone's got their own version, but when all the versions sound fake, that's when you know something's off." Candace Owens echoed that sentiment, claiming that both political and financial forces were scrambling to control the story before too many questions were asked. "This isn't just about who pulled the trigger," she said. "It's about why." By now, the case has transformed from a straightforward tragedy into a full-blown mystery. Online threads span thousands of comments, mapping timelines, linking names, comparing statements. Theories range from inside jobs to corporate sabotage, and still, no clear answers. One of the most haunting questions: if Charlie Kirk was indeed uncovering something through that internal audit, what happened to the data? Did it ever get completed, or was it buried along with him? Critics of the official investigation argue that the case's details feel intentionally confusing. Multiple suspects, bizarre witness behavior, missing footage, and that century-old rifle that shouldn't have worked so perfectly. Each inconsistency adds another crack in the official version of events. Even journalists covering the story have admitted that new coincidences keep appearing, from sealed police files to gag orders on certain witnesses. Meanwhile, Rogan's podcast clips have become viral moments across TikTok and YouTube, millions of views from people trying to piece it together themselves. So, what do you think? Was this an isolated tragedy, or the tip of something bigger? Drop your thoughts below, and let's see where the truth really leads. Because as Joe Rogan said, something about this story just doesn't sit right. And maybe that's exactly the point.